What's up, good people? How is a paper stop motion animator still viable in this crazy economy? Well, today I'm going to go over a technique where you are applicable in more markets than just cartoons, where you break into the world of being relevant in live action production, whether it be commercial, documentary, or something else like that. And this is unscripted. This is just me on the fly. I'm just going to show you in a few easy steps how I made one of the effects for a recent campaign I worked on, which was Visit Houston's summer spot from last year. It was produced by an outside production company, El Creative, but Visit Houston had me come back in and do some pretty cool things with paper stop motion. And I'm going to show you which effect we're going to talk about today, and then we're going to go step by step to see how I used paper animation to do some pretty wild and crazy things with the video footage. So, without further ado, let me pull this thing up. And just in case you haven't seen it, I know I posted it on my channel already. This is the spot we're talking about. And I'm about to play for you the very beginning that we're going to go over today. Video footage. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. So here, I pull a building from the city with my hands. I flip that building over, and I hand it to this woman in the food truck as she extends it to the viewer. And so one thing you're going to notice about this is as my hands are in the frame, you can see the frames are moving. And it remains video footage. It's not just still frames stopped, cut, and moved. So let's get into a bit of that theory right here. Now, the first step, of course, to do something like this is with your video footage, you need to print out the frames you're going to work with. And for this project, I decided to work at 12 frames per second for a couple reasons. One, it's a lot more forgiving to print up 12 frames of video than it is to print up 24. And two, it kind of adds to the stop motion aesthetic that we're trying to achieve here. So we were happy with the look of it at 12 frames as opposed to 24 frames a second. So this is some screen recording footage of me in Dragonframe when I was actually doing this. And I want to point out a few things real quick right here. One, you see, this is the first frame of the video footage I'm working with. You see that I've got it taped down. That means I've got it registered. That's very important because since I'm going to have my hand up in the shot, and it's part of, I'll be photographing my hand from frame to frame to frame, I don't want to move that printed background around when my hand touches it. I don't want to accidentally bump it and shift it around because that's going to throw the whole effect that we're going for off by doing that. It'll just be a pain to work with. So taping it down, that's a necessary start. Also, you're going to see in the photographs I'm taking right here in Dragonframe that we can see the outside the edges of the paper. You can see smudges, we can see the tape. Well, I shot this at almost 8K in terms of like the photography resolution. Each photo was about 8,000 pixels by something else. That way, I could zoom in and crop in as much as I need to. And this, as you'll see right here, as I'm highlighting with this little arrow, this is really our frame and our border that we're thinking about in terms of what we're going to be showing. Like we can move out of it, in and out of that a little bit, and I think we do. Yeah, that's the start of this. So let's move forward. You see, of course, you can see my hands wiping down some of those smudges. On a glass surface, smudges come pretty frequent. Okay, so this is the first frame I start with. As you can see, I've got just a tiny bit of my finger poking into frame here. So I've taken a photograph of that. Now, I don't have steady hands. I've talked about that before. So if you have that issue too, don't worry. You'll find ways to make it work. And especially if you're working at a lower frame rate, like 12 frames a second, it's going to be a lot more forgiving if your hand's moving around just a little tiny bit. As you can see, I brought a new image up into the mix. This is the next frame of video. This is frame 2. Why am I not working with the previous frame? Because I want this to look like video that my hand is reaching into and manipulating. So this is the next printed frame. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to position my hand just a little bit above where it was in the last frame. If you have software that has onion skins, you can use onion skins to help you gauge where you need to put your hand next, things like that. I don't like using onion skins. And if you're not familiar, onion skins, that's when you see the previous frame kind of in a transparency overlay. I prefer to just toggle back and forth because I feel like I get a better sense of the motion by doing that. Okay. I think I'm happy enough with this. Yeah, I take a photograph. So now I took this other frame away, and I'm bringing the next frame in. Good. I decided to label it going forward. You can see I have a number 3 down there. And trust me, it makes your life so much easier. Just in case you get mixed up when you're taking your photographs. It's good to have the images labeled in order. And see, I'm even deciding to tape this one down because I don't want to bump it. Okay. Nothing too complicated going on here. All I'm going to do is move my finger a little bit forward. And as you can see, I'll point with the mouse pointer. I'm trying to keep my hand in relatively the same position as it was previously. I'm taking note of that. And then I'll move it up a little bit. When I'm happy with it, I'm going to take a photograph again. And this is where I landed. So I was happy with my hand's placement there. So next, we are going to take off that last frame. Oh. All right, now we have frame 4 that we're putting in, the next frame of video. I'm going to line it up. I'm going to tape it down. And we are going to see, we're toggling back and forth to make sure it's pretty much in the same spot as the previous one. Just like previously, we are moving our finger up just a little bit. And now we're touching our target building. This is the building that we are going to pull off the paper. So we move on to frame 5. Here we go. Then you're going to notice something striking about this frame. Never mind. I thought this frame wasn't going to have the building in it. But the building is still there. So we secure down the 5th frame. And when we like where our finger is, we'll take another photo. Okay, we did it. We move on to the next frame, 6. Building still up in the mix. Okay, we've got our frames lined up. This is where we ended up landing with frame 6 for our finger. See? It's in relatively the same position, just a little bit further up. You see, I've started to like expand my thumb. My finger and thumb they look like they're about to grab this little building. Okay. Now, this is where it gets spicy, y'all. Check this out. In this one, it's the same as the previous frame, except there's no building there. Wait, what? How is there no building? How'd you do that? Well, there's some tools that make it pretty dang easy to do that. I used Photoshop to do this. I know some of y'all have beef with Adobe. I totally understand that. But if you would like to see a tutorial on how to use Adobe Photoshop to remove an object in your frame, I'll put a link to that right here. Just a real quick little video that shows you that. And so, I've got this frame without the building. On another frame, the same frame with the building, I cut out this building with a pair of scissors. So now I have 2 things I'm working with here. Oh, here we can see me cutting this building out. There you go. So I've got 2 elements I'm working with in this scene. I got the background, no building, and just the building by itself. So now I'm going to toggle back and forth until this building is in relatively the same spot it was in the previous frame. I'm just going to let it play out in real time. And you know, this paper, this wasn't even cardstock. This is just like regular standard letter printer paper. So this little piece of paper, it's light. You just barely touch it. It's going to move all over the place. So it took a little bit of positioning and a little bit of time toggling back and forth until I felt good about where it's at. Like that's almost there, right there. So I keep doing it until I'm happy and I get it just right. And then I take a photo of it. And then my next photo after that, I want to show me lifting and raising the building up off the page. So I toggle back and forth until I like where it's at. And when I get there, I'm going to take another photograph. Just like that. I don't know if you remember, but there's a panning motion to where we move from this background to the next background of the taco food truck with the lady inside of it. So I pulled up the tape. I'm moving the background to the side a bit. And I'm keeping my hand in relatively the same spot now. I'm just moving the background. And you see when we toggle back and forth in succession like that, it looks like the background's moving. And here I'm starting to place the next background up into the mix. I position until it's looking right. And then we'll take the next photograph. We keep moving these backgrounds. Readjust until we're pretty confident that we're keeping our hand relatively in the same space, the hand that's holding this building. And we keep taking photos, moving those backgrounds, holding that building. And I don't know if you've noticed, but I am slightly turning and rotating this building. And each of those, I'm backing up now, because I forgot to mention that. In each of these other shots, if you look at them, we start out holding the building kind of flat, facing forward, and with each new photo we're taking, we're rotating it slightly. Because our end goal is we want to rotate and flip this building over and turn it into something else completely. A taco. That looks pretty good. Take a photo, man. I like that. Do it. Do it. There we go. Did it. And so now I think we're at the point where it's flipped enough. We need to go ahead and swap out our building for the taco. We've kept our hand relatively the same place. The only difference is it's rotating slightly, but we've swapped out the building for a taco that we cut out. And we got the taco by the same means that we got the building. We cut it out of another image, and we did the same thing to the image of the woman here. We used Photoshop to take the taco out of the shot. So she's just holding her hands forward like this. And see what our end goal is going to be is to keep moving forward shot by shot until we've flipped that taco over completely and we hand it to the woman, and then she takes it in the video footage. I think you're getting the picture how I did this now. So I'm going to go ahead and speed through this last part, because it's really just a matter of continuing to flip it, getting it closer and closer to the woman, until finally it's close enough that we are, I think we take a photo right here, with it right in front of the taco right in front of her, and then we move in and we're going to take a photo with our fingers still in the same position, but without the taco, without the little paper taco in our hand. And now it's an actual frame of video footage where she's actually holding the taco, the unmodified one. And that's basically how we did that. And so we'll finish this up by moving our hand out of frame now that we've handed it to her. And you'll see that we're using the next frame of video footage. And you can see the labeling in the corner. This is frame 2 of the woman with the taco sequence. And we're using different frames each time so it looks like video footage. And we're going to keep moving our hand out of that frame while we're swapping out for the next frame of video footage. And we'll just keep doing this until our frame, or until our hand is out of frame. And then we'll sub in the video footage itself. And that's how we have transitioned 2 clips of video to each other, interacting with the elements in that video using paper stop motion animation. So I'm going to show you once again how this sequence looks finished. That looks pretty good, right? I think so. So, I hope y'all enjoyed this. It's unscripted. Just me going through a technique with you real quick. If you like this, let me know, and I can show you more things in this quick and easy style because I want to share how to do these things. Because with paper stop motion, we're not limited to just cartoons. There are ways we can use our skill and our craft to manipulate live action video footage too, and do these kind of magic tricks to brighten up a production. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.